Are we surprised that Jenna Ortega doesn't want to discuss her Latin culture when the reporters self-describe her as Latinx? Oh, I knew Lewis was going to love this one. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I wanted to surprise Lewis with this story because it's Lewis's favorite phrase.
Latinx.
Oh, we got a Latinx story from my man Lewis over at Nerd Report. Look, Lewis, you educated me on this because I'm the white guy who tries to be nice to everybody. But now I also have my own Latin wife, Puerto Rican, amazing culture. I've learned part of the Latin, Hispanic culture is so varied and different. And the language's history of it is so beautiful. This term, Latinx, is offensive to the bulk of people in that community. But for some weird reason, reporters, usually white random people, throw this term and self-describe the Latin community as Latinx. And I find it so damn offensive. And I found it so ironic, Lewis. I wanted you to see this because Jenna Ortega has opened up. She's often been called a fake Latina for not speaking Spanish. She's opened up about the shame of not feeling like a good enough representative for her community. Following years of not landing acting jobs because of her Latinx heritage, Jenna is now facing scrutiny for not being Latinx enough. I want to explain to me and the audience again why this is so frustrating to read, especially now seeing someone like Jenna who clearly is uncomfortable. And now I understand why, not wanting to wade into this whole debate, because now she's being self-described as Latinx. Do you approve of that?
Well, the X is in there because the real term is Latino, because Spanish is gendered, but racist people do not like our language. So they put the X there because they're offended that it's gendered. So they put the X to make it gender neutral. What they don't understand, there's several words that also refer to, when you say Latinos, that's like a generalizing a bunch of people from Latin America, but gente Latina is also doing the same thing, and that's with an A, so that's in the feminine if it was English. This is all cultural appropriation, saying to the Hispanic community or the Latin community that we'll accept you as long as you change a few things about yourself because you offend us and stuff. And the funny thing is, these are the same people that want you to respect pronouns and get offended with whatever you want to call yourself, which I do. I do respect people if they want to be she, he, or whatever. But as soon as you tell them, please stop calling me an X, which is offensive, they will not stop. These are the corporations. These are Hispanic people even working for the corporations that want to fit in. And quite frankly, it's racism coming from a party who claims they're not racist. Okay, we see through you, dude.
Well, it's all just about who's more offended and who are we supposed to protect more is what I find so hypocritical about it. The Latinx is supposed to, obviously for gender reasons, trying to be gender neutral. And it's like, okay, so we have to placate to them more than the entire Latin community is what's
we already have a word. It's called Latin. If you
right, well, that's the thing. It's like it's so bizarre because
Latin.
Okay, you don't want to say Latino. No one's forced you to say it, even though that's what the word is. Say Latin, exactly. Say Hispanic, right? There are ways you can sort of speak in more general that the community won't be as mad about than forcing this weird Latinx on the term, which she's never used and never described herself as. If she did, I might be more okay with it, Lewis, right? If she's deciding to call herself that for whatever reason and wants to, fine. But what's so frustrating about this forced thing in Hollywood is no one's asked for it. Literally, no one's asked for it, but these usual white reporters feel the need to protect the people who are offended by Latino and therefore just label all Latin people Latinx. And again, this is just such an important topic that no one really discusses enough. It's gotten better, I'll be honest. But when people do it, I think it does need to be called out again. Did Jenna Ortega ask this reporter, is what I would challenge to this reporter over at Buzzfeed, Stephanie Sotiris, who's out in London. I don't know her background. Maybe she is Hispanic or Latin. Maybe, I don't know. Seems like she's not. Seems like she's British. But I'm curious, Stephanie, did Jenna Ortega ask you to label her Latinx? Because I'm guessing not, Lewis. It's not mentioned at all in this article. In fact, all these articles that bring up all the media discourse about how her Latinx heritage, when you go to this article, it even says they're all Latina enough. Which again is what, yeah. And then the article itself forces in some Latinx buzzwords, etc. But it's just added constantly throughout this piece how and she opened up about the shame of not feeling like she's not good enough to represent her heritage in a Vanity Fair article. She says her father's Mexican descent, her mother's Mexican and Puerto Rican descent. Jenna was raised in La Quinta, which is a large Latin population, and grew up smashing piñatas and making tamales at Christmas with her Mexican American Puerto Rican family. I think there's a part of me that carries a bit of shame. For a second, I was almost nervous to speak about my family's background because I feel like I was made to feel like it wasn't. They believe Jenna was using the variation of the word valid before trailing off. There's also irony the way Jenna is now facing accusations of not being Latinx enough. And she endured years of being deemed too Latinx to book roles for planets. As a child actor, there's two jobs you can get. You either the younger version of someone, you're playing somebody's daughter, and there were just not many leading Hispanic actors who I could be that for. A lot of the jobs that I had to go for growing up in a world would never work out because I didn't look a certain way. That was really hard to hear, that something you couldn't change was preventing you from succeeding. I wanted to dye my hair blonde and so I could look like Cinderella. So and nowhere in this does she represent or say the word Latinx. She reflects on not being worthy enough, proper representative of the community. She wasn't born in a Spanish-speaking country and has limited time in Mexico, has never even been to Puerto Rico. So she feels, what is she supposed to do? And honestly, I feel for her. Like, why do we have to keep forcing everyone else's culture into these actors, Lewis? Why can't she just be her damn self, do what she wants to do, and not have to be the spotlight for everybody, right? So not only are they still sort of mad at her for not being Latin enough, now they're also, you're not Latinx enough. Oh, look, I'm frustrated for you, and I can see why so many are frustrated. And I feel like it's important to bring it up. I assume you agree in this, right? We should be calling out when people are being forced termed Latinx, no?
Latinx.
Yeah, man. And I do feel that this reporter is a racist, a pig. And that's how, because they know we don't want to be called that. It's been going on. This is not new. If you use Latinx, you are a racist. That's period. I just broke it down. You're trying to alter some other culture's language because it offends you, because you hate men. You want it gender neutral. Okay. It has nothing to do with English. You're imposing the English language on Spanish, which is not your culture. Thank you for bringing this up, Andy. I'm sorry, but anyone who uses Latinx is a racist, period. Jenna Ortega is awesome. I'm a big fan of hers. Okay, some people are saying, you have a crush and she's so young. No, it's not about that, man. I love what Jenna Ortega represents. Wednesday was amazing. She's amazing in X. She doesn't have to constantly.
She is this generation's like Winona Ryder. She takes chances. She's really talented. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm a really big fan of hers, and I'm excited about what she's going to do.
Tip of the iceberg. This woman's going to be bigger and bigger, and I'm proud of that. And her being Hispanic, or which she calls herself Hispanic, not Latinx, Latina, is just icing on the cake for me when I get it. Good for her, Jenna Ortega. Can't wait for Wednesday season 2. All right.
Yeah, and Beetlejuice, and you said something I want to reiterate, because again, this Latinx is Spanglish. You're absolutely right. It is forced English in the Spanish culture, and that is so racist and offensive. And I'm sure Stephanie is just trying to be safe, but we got to stop being so safe that we will now offend an entire community and culture that's been here for way longer. Oh, well, sorry, 10 people are offended, so now I must use this term. Bullshit. Go ahead, Lewis. Final word.
I know you're trying to be good. Stephanie should know her stuff. In my opinion, she may be a racist person, because it's out there very clear that we don't like using that word. Stephanie, if you're watching, change this article. You actually say it 100 times within the article, like a drinking. Try a drinking game. How many times you say Latinx here? It's almost like, we hate the term and you use it 50 times within a paragraph. All right, just to
see. You want to see how many? I can tell you how many times she used it.
Do you use the N-word, lady?
She used it 8 times.
8 times, bro.
It's a lot. It's in there a lot. Stephanie used it a lot. That's
learn grammar. Latinx. Learn your own damn it language before you alter other people. Using the same word over and over means you have poor grammar.
Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, I wanted to give Lewis that word, and also all my amazing Latino friends and family. This isn't a word. Stop trying to make Latinx happen. Enough. If one person wants to identify themselves as it, it is what it is. Call yourself whatever the hell you want. But stop labeling others who didn't ask you to define them as Latinx. It's enough. It's stupid. Make sure you've subscribed to Lewis. Make sure you've subscribed here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned. We got so much more pop culture justice and coverage coming for you. You're not going to want to miss it.
Latinx.